Good morning. So, today's topic is the cerebral hemispheres. The cerebrum. Before going to the cerebral hemispheres, we'll just see a few basic things about the central nervous system. So, the central nervous system is the part of the nervous system which is present which is present in the central axis of the body. So the central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord. The brain almost weighs about 1.5 kgs. It is present inside the skull, and it is divided into mainly three parts. So in this diagram you can see the forebrain, the midbrain and the hindbrain. So in the diagram, the forebrain is again divided into the telencephalon and then the diencephalon. So the telencephalon consists of the two cerebral hemispheres and their interconnections. The hemispheres, although separated by a longitudinal division, are connected with each other by a number of bundles of nerve fibers, which is called the corpus callosum. And then the cerebral cortex is divided into four lobes: the frontal lobe, the parietal, the temporal and occipital lobes. So that is about the telencephalon. The diencephalon means it includes the thalamus and the hypothalamus. So in the diagram you can see the thalamus and the hypothalamus. So this part we tell it as the diencephalon. Next, coming to the midbrain. The midbrain or the mesencephalon. So this part is called as the midbrain or the mesencephalon. It is divided into the two parts by aqueduct of Sylvius into the ventral part and the dorsal part. So the mesencephalon is divided into two parts, the ventral part and the dorsal part, by the aqueduct of Sylvius. Whereas the hindbrain consists of the pons, medulla and the cerebellum. So this is about few basic things about the brain, and the midbrain, pons and medulla together we call it as the brain stem. And an area of brain that includes both the gray matter and white matter is the limbic system. So this is a few things about the brain. So now we'll go to so this is once again in the diagram. Forebrain is divided into telencephalon and diencephalon. Midbrain is mesencephalon, and then hindbrain is again divided into metencephalon and mesencephalon. So this is the basic division of the brain. So now we'll go to the cerebral hemispheres. The cerebral hemispheres is divided by a longitudinal division by the falx cerebri. So the falx cerebri, that is a meningeal layer, so that divides the two cerebral hemispheres, but the two cerebral hemispheres are connected by the corpus callosum. So the most superficial part of each cerebral hemispheres, that is called the cerebral cortex, is about 2 to 4 millimeter thick. Okay, cerebral cortex, it has 25 billion neurons, 2 to 4 millimeter thick, and its total surface area is 2200 centimeter square. So it has the sulci and the gyri, so which made the total surface area, that is 2200 centimeters square, of which major part lies within the sulci. Underneath the cerebral cortex lies the subcortical white matter, in which embedded are masses of the gray matter called subcortical nuclear masses, such as the basal ganglia. So that's about the cerebral cortex. So now we'll see the two hemispheres I told, which is separated by the falx cerebri but interconnected by the corpus callosum. It has 3 poles and 3 surfaces. 3 poles are frontal, temporal and occipital pole, and 3 surfaces are superolateral surface, medial surface, and then the inferior surface. So these are the 3 surfaces. So this is the diagram showing the cerebral hemisphere and as also showing the cerebellum. So this is the structure of a cerebral hemisphere. So the entire cerebral hemisphere is marked by ridges called gyrus and then fissures called sulcus. So these gyrus, and you can see in the diagram gyrus and the sulcus, different types of gyrus and the sulcus. So the important sulcus are the central sulcus. In the diagram you can see the central sulcus. It runs from the midpoint of the frontal pole and the occipital pole. So this is the central sulcus, whereas the lateral sulcus, it is also called the Sylvian sulcus. It lies between the frontal and temporal poles. And we have the parieto-occipital sulcus and then calcarine sulcus. So this calcarine sulcus, one second. Okay. So in this diagram you can see the different sulcus. Central sulcus, you can see the lateral sulcus, parieto-occipital sulcus, and then you have the calcarine sulcus. So all these are the important sulcus. So the calcarine sulcus, these sulcus form a Y-shaped arrangement on the medial aspect of the posterior part of cerebral hemisphere. So their ends extend on to the superolateral surface of the parietal and occipital lobes respectively. So actually these sulcus, they divide, because of these major sulcus, they divide the cerebral cortex into 4 lobes, that is the frontal lobe, the temporal lobe, occipital lobe and the parietal lobes. You can see in the diagram because of these major sulcus, the cerebral hemisphere is divided into different lobes. The frontal lobe, so it lies in front of the central sulcus. The parietal lobe lies in the behind it, between the central sulcus and the parieto-occipital sulcus. So that is the parietal lobe. Occipital lobe, it lies behind the parietal occipital sulcus. And then the temporal lobe, so it lies below the lateral sulcus. So because of these main sulcus, the cerebral cortex is divided into different lobes. We'll see later the function of each lobe. In addition to all these lobes, we have a limbic lobe. So it is the region of the cerebral cortex that lies on the medial side adjacent to the corpus callosum. Let me show the diagram. Limbic lobe. Okay, I'll show it later. So this is about the different lobes of the cerebral hemisphere. So other sulcus are also there, that is precentral sulcus, post-central sulcus, superior and inferior frontal sulcus, but the major sulcus are the central, lateral, parieto-occipital and then calcarine sulcus. Because of these sulcus, we have the different lobes. And then the Brodmann, he divides the cerebral hemispheres into different areas, nearly around 50 areas. So this is based on the specific function of each area. So this is believed that each area has its own specific function. According to this, the cerebral hemisphere is divided into different areas. These are called Brodmann's areas, and there are nearly 50 Brodmann's areas. So this is the diagram which shows the Brodmann's area. So you can see it's numbered 1 to 47, and you should know that the different area numbers, especially for example the 4 which is present in front of the central sulcus, so that is the motor area. And we know that the behind the central sulcus we have post central gyrus. So that the area between the central sulcus and the post central sulcus, that is the post central gyrus. So that is called the sensory area number 312. So like that we have the these cerebral cortex is numbered. So this is done by Brodmann's, and hence the name Brodmann's areas, and it depends on the specific function of different areas. And as we know that superior and inferior frontal sulci in the frontal lobe, so they form the premotor area and the area of frontal eye field, that is areas 6, 8 to 13, 24, 32. So all these are the frontal eye field or the frontal cortex. So this frontal cortex that is responsible for they are named as premotor area and then the frontal eye field. So like that these Brodmann's areas are divided, and you should know the different numbers and what these areas have their own functions. So now we'll go to the cytoarchitecture, that is the histology of a typical cortex, cerebral cortex. It is the 6-layered cortex. It is named from 1 to 6. The first layer is the molecular layer. The second layer is external granular, and then the third one is external pyramidal. Fourth is internal granular. Fifth is internal pyramidal layer, and sixth layer is the fusiform layer. So this is the histology of the cerebral cortex. So the first layer is the molecular or plexiform layer. It contains horizontal cells and axon terminals of the Martinotti cells, that is pyramidal shaped cells with short axons. This layers is a site of horizontal spread of neuronal activity, either excitatory or inhibitory. So excitatory means it releases glutamate, inhibitory means it releases GABA. So this layer is perhaps a layer, a site of horizontal spread of neuronal activity. The next one is the granular layer. So it contains the closely packed small fusiform cells which is having short axons. So the dendrites of these cells either ascend to layer 1 or spread laterally within this layer. Next is the external pyramidal layer. Because of the shape of the cell, that is pyramidal shape, this is called as external pyramidal layer. It contains the larger cells. So these are apical. It contains larger cells whose dendrites, so apical dendrites, they ascend to layer 1, and basilar dendrites, they pass horizontally in the same layer. Their efferent axons pass to layer 5th and the 6th. So these cells receive afferents from the axons of the granular cells of layer 4 and then Martinotti cells of layer 5th and 6th. Whereas external granular layer cells, they receive the afferents from Martinotti cells and the granular cells of the layer 4. Next layer is the internal granular layer. So it contains densely packed small star-shaped cells, stellate cells. So they are excitatory, and their dendrites are distributed within this layer and receive a dense supply of thalamocortical afferents. So later, layer 5th, that is the inner pyramidal layer, and the layer 6th is the fusiform layer.